have to maybe warm up a bit. And
Yeah.
have my some sort of drugs. Take my drugs.
Sure, yeah. I'm
Mushrooms.
open to whatever. Perfect, yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 4th installment of the Weekly Startup. Today, the guest is CEO of Nevercode, Triin Kask. And we're going to talk about some cool stuff like women in tech and Nevercode and kind of your philosophies on culture and stuff I want to kind of hear about. And yeah, mostly I'm just really excited to learn about Nevercode and what it is, because I've kind of looked before, even previously, through looking at the Superangel. I think was where I first seen it, when Superangel came out, and I seen the list of startups. And so what is Nevercode? What is the like? Are you familiar with the term granny test?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for somebody non-technical.
Fritzegeld. Was he Rob Fritzegeld was the granny test or mom test?
Really?
It was mom test.
Okay, well we take it to the next level here.
Yeah. So granny test.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So what is Nevercode? Well, actually, I think it's if I imagine that you're my granny, then I would say, so listen, granny. I am not a developer myself, but
what's that? No.
Yeah. Okay. What is it? So basically, Nevercode is the vision that we believe in. Basically, it means never code. Like you also separated those two words, because it started from like my own thought that I'm not a developer myself, but I totally love the idea around software development. Cool new technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, all those very nice words. So So that's really cool. Yeah. But I have never found this how to say, this inner voice in me that would say go learn programming. Like it has never occurred to me in a very natural way, because how I like to live is live in a natural mode, so that everything that comes to me, I feel, is it going to make my life better or worse? So I take this like very Buddhistic approach to all the things that I do in life. Is it in accordance to me? Does it resonate with my like personal balance or this sort of thing? So Nevercode also came from this idea that I don't want to be a programmer, but I would like to, realize my ideas, that I have very many different ideas that are related to technology. So, how to make those things work. I need to hire developers, and it's sometimes really, really hard to find those people. And now we're also in the era where we have to promote people to go and study software development. Like everybody should be a programmer from day one. Yeah. But I don't believe in this. I think that people should actually learn about themselves, like who they really are, what they would really like to do. And Nevercode will be the technology helping them to realize their ideas and their full potential, rather than just go learn coding. It's more about like maybe you're a good artist, and now you can tell the technology, I want this sort of software, and now the technology is going to make it for you.
That's really interesting. So then from I might be your ideal user actually, because I'm the kind of person who has zero technical ability but still wants to create things. So what is, for me, what might be the user story, or so I can get a feeling for how I interact with Nevercode? Is it like a platform type? Or?
If I say Nevercode, I see this thing. I would say thing because I don't know how it exactly looks like in the future. Because when we just take, the whole software development process into pieces, you have this idea, then you need to create the code, then you need the code to build up into an application, then you need to test this application, then you need to optimize it, then you need to release it. So there are a lot of these steps. So what we think about is like, where can we automate or help developers so that they don't need to deal with grunt work? Like fixing bugs, for example. Developers hate fixing bugs. They just want to, create cool new code. Yeah. So we're thinking all those ways and all those places where we can actually implement technology in order to automate stuff for developers.
Okay.
So for you, it just means that in the future, I think that you're going to talk to some sort of interface. Is it going to be a computer, a robot, or maybe just a chip in your brain? You're going to talk to it, or maybe you're not even going to talk about it. You're going to think about it, and then this transfers into some sort of script.
That's incredible.
Yes, and that transforms into software that is going to put the whole thing work for you.
So wow, that's like it's kind of a visionary idea. So how what was the inspiration for you then, as somebody who's non-technical? I know you had a project previously, which was
because I want this thing to work for me. I want to create cool ideas, but I don't want to study software development. And on the other hand, I see that it's damn hard to find good software developers.
Yeah.
So like we're killing the creative part, and we want everybody to be programmers, which is also creative, but in a different way.
Yeah.
In a scriptic way, in this sense.
This kind of analytical creativity.
Yeah. You're interfering with the computer, but I would like to interfere with nature, with other people, in a natural environment.
That's incredible. So then, going back to the inspiration part. Previously, you had a project called Greenhouse IC, I think.
Greenhouse CI.
CI, sorry.
Because continuous integration, continuous delivery is kind of the product that we do. Yes, Greenhouse was like the ancestor for Nevercode, before Nevercode, because I joined Greenhouse development team as like a business person. Like you come raise money, talk big things, talk about the vision, stuff like that. But then very often with those things is that there is a lack of vision, or there is a lack of purpose. So I felt, that we have to really come up with a vision that inspires us first of all. The whole team is kind of like, let's make this happen. Yeah. And then this is how Nevercode was born, out of Greenhouse basically.
Okay, so then even previous to Greenhouse, then you had another project which was kind of parking solution.
Yep.
So I know kind of the inception of that was that you really had this problem where you got a parking ticket, and you're like, parking tickets are stupid, we're going to fix this problem. And then what was the culmination of that project? What happened? What was the...
Yeah, well, that was my first serious startup. So before that, I also had like several ideas. We just did some brainstorming, but it never became to like a real. I wouldn't say business. It just was establishing a company, because business is something that it already generates revenue, but we never got to that point. We did, however, have like the first pilot project together with Estonia's biggest mobile operator back then, EMT. Now it's Telia owned. So we had like closed a deal with them that we're going to promote it and we're going to release it through their channels, which was awesome. But what happened was like very typical things. First of all, we couldn't agree on the vision, what we would actually like to achieve. It was like, just, let's make this device that will take this parking headache away, parking payment headache away. And what happened, of course, again, was that I went to Silicon Valley and I was there alone. And when you end up there, you've been there?
No, never, but...
Okay, so you should go.
It's like a mythical place for
me. It is, because the energy there is totally different. The mindset, how people think, how easy they are, how comfortable they are of like pivoting, for example. Okay, this idea doesn't work. Let's think what we can do else, because we have a great team, we have great talent here. So let's just move on. So I learned so much during these 3 months that I spent there, but I was only myself from our team. So when I came back with my ideas, like we should do this, and maybe we should really get rid of the device and think of how to actually make it work, smartly on the smartphone. Then we had like this conflict. So it was totally like, I started to see things differently. And I couldn't just communicate to the rest of the team. So that was the problem, that it was kind of like me lacking in persuading skills.
Okay, maybe it was just that was it like a lack of confidence for you?
Definitely, because it was my first time doing something, bigger than just, opening a little coffee shop here in Tartu or Tallinn. So in this sense, of course, I was totally inconfident. Like, I'm talking to people or working with people who have done businesses before, and they don't seem to understand me, or they're saying like, you're being delusional, and I'm like, okay, maybe I am, but I just feel, that this is the right thing to do. So now, of course, I would do things totally differently from day one, but that's what you can't do. That's the good thing of life, that you can learn, and then you have the new opportunity coming up, and then you do it differently. Then
I didn't realize that you had this experience in Silicon Valley. So you went there alone.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
That was super awesome. On one hand, because I just had, my son got like 1 year old back then, and I was thinking, okay, I should take my family with me, And then I did something funny. I went to a witch. Yeah. I went to a witch to ask this wise woman, like, should I take my family with me to Silicon Valley when I go? I don't know, I had this dilemma in me, should I not? And she said, you definitely should not, because when you take your family with you, it's going to be like a touristic trip. You have to like be there on time, feed your children. You can't, because Triin, this is how you do things. You go like fully in, and then you just concentrate, and then you forget about the rest of the world. And this is your chance to actually go there and be 100% in the zone, in the flow. So your children will love you after that. Also, just tell them that, Mom, your mom is going to leave. I love you, because I also had older daughter already. So now I have 3 children. So back then, younger was 1 year old, and the older daughter was 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just had to tell them, like, guys, I love you, but I'm going to come back, but I need to go alone. So they were totally okay with it.
Yeah. Did you have any like hesitation in doing that, or?
No, because
you
the
were
witch said,
the
like,
witch
go.
said. Okay. It sounds like maybe you didn't visit a witch, you went to a therapist.
I think that, it was more like that.
Yeah, just needed somebody to help you make the decision.
Yeah. And that was a very good advice, in the sense that it really helped me focus.
So then you arrive in Silicon Valley, you're alone in this big crazy world. What year was this? When was this?
2012.
Okay, so
6 years ago.
Still a lot going on. And so you arrive, and then how did you spend those 3 months? What was the...
Well, I went with this Estonian enterprise mission. Like, there was a bunch of people going there for 2 weeks, and then Andrus Virk, the embassy for Estonia in Silicon Valley. So he was showing us around, taking us to Nokia. Back then there was a huge
BlackBerry,
stuff like that. Facebook, so we visited all those great places, and then the rest of the gang left, but I already had managed to kind of like, build some sort of relationships there with new people. So I ended up in a startup, Ukrainian-Russian startup house in Sunnyvale, and then they all, on the other hand, were organizing like all sorts of startup events. So I kind of like got into their network that led me to like new networks. So I was like just networking a lot, just going to different events. I was just going with the flow.
Yeah.
And the flow is like super fast there, and it's just impossible to miss the flow there.
Yeah. So what was it about? Because you said that maybe you weren't confident enough when you came back about expressing your ideas, but while you were there, it sounds like you were like a social butterfly.
That was me.
Kind of person.
Yeah, that was me. And that was the interesting thing, that I've always had this like a bit craziness in me, like dreaming a lot, looking from like different angles compared to what other people see. So I've always felt like I'm maybe a misfit, so to speak, or maybe I'm different or something like that. So,
That's awesome.
but there I felt like, oh my God, I'm home.
Everybody's crazy.
Yeah, like it was so cool, and it was like so easy to talk to people. And what really amazed me was that everybody was talking about, you know, spiritual stuff, because I'm a very spiritual person in this sense that I really deal with my own spirit a lot, and all people, like all living beings are spiritual, even flowers. So in this sense, you know, it was really cool that besides, you know, metrics and business models and your like competitors, you were also talking about like larger ideas. What is life? You know, what do you want to achieve personally? Where is your spirit evolving? So all these topics were also covered.
It sounds like a personal development, like a
definitely.
Yeah.
Of course, like from the business side, my assignment there was to find investors and also see if we have a market in US. But the problem there was around parking spots rather than around parking payments. So it's really hard to find a parking
park. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So recently I've seen, going back to Nevercode a little bit, coming back to the future, when I recently was kind of creeping you online, making sure that I, you know, knew everything about you as much as I could. And I seen a tweet that you made about personal growth also, about watching people learn and grow. And I was curious about the culture at Nevercode and how your ideas as a CEO about personal development and spirituality and this idea, you said it was so cool, it's so cool to watch people learn and to grow, and how that kind of feeds off into Nevercode culture. Is that something that's like defined and important to you guys, or is it kind of
definitely? Because what we've seen also when we hire people, we firstly look into their potential to learn and not be afraid of not knowing, and just, you know, going there and learning. Because what I can't say I hate. I don't have this hatred in me, but what I don't admire in people when they say I don't know, or when they find apologies for not doing something because I had no previous experience, so, you know, he should do it because he knows. No, you have to go and you have to learn this, and you have to just, you know, step out of your comfort zone and learn this stuff. Otherwise, you will just, you know, be in this little circle and you will never experience life, because life is about new things and those things that you don't know.
That's something personally that I'm working really hard to take small steps to alter my own mindset. And one thing, as you spoke about hatred, or not something I hate also, but something I strongly dislike, is when people say they don't have time to do something. And I think, well, no, it's just not your priority. Your priority is not to do this. And it's just really interesting to hear you say that. So around the culture of Nevercode, then what's the team like? How has the team grown, and what's that been like for you?
Well, I think that one of the achievements with Nevercode is definitely the team. If you would ask me, like, what is the greatest achievement, we can't say MRR yet, or like customer base. Of course, we have like super cool clients like Toyota, BMW, Linguist from Estonia, then TaskRabbit, Sainsbury's from UK. Then we had also someone from Canada. I can't remember anymore. You know, just bloody awesome customers. But the biggest achievement is the team, and these are the people I would definitely go to. To a battle, to a war, to a battle, because they are the type of people who never say no, who say, yeah, let's do it, even if we don't know how to do it, let's figure it out. So I really admire those people, and these people do Nevercode. They kind of make the Nevercode like this place where I really enjoy my everyday life.
How many of you is there?
Actually, I think 17 altogether.
Wow.
Yeah, we have like 3 people who are half-time, who are stay-at-home moms, or because we never we think family is part of life, so why should you not stop doing something that you like when you have babies? So we have always said, like, you know, come do even, you know, part-time if you can, as long as you feel like this is what you want to do. Yeah, and the rest of the team is basically there most of the time.
So then, as far as founders, it's you and Christian.
Yes.
Your CTO.
Yep.
And anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the rest. So our development team is, I think now we have 9 people altogether, and then 2 awesome sales people.
And you've given everybody kind of a piece of the pie?
No,
or?
no. Like if you talk about founder base, then only me and Christian.
Okay.
Yep. And then of course investors.
Yeah, investors. You're so Estonia has this new Superangel fund, and one or more of your investors, I'm not sure, has some sort of stake in that, and so you've been kind of involved in that. How do you see the Superangel fund? It's between here and Palo Alto, I think, in California, and how do you see that affecting the Estonian ecosystem, or do you at all? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I think that what they do, I hope that they really do it from the real desire to change the startup ecosystem here, and also because I understand that they don't invest only into Estonian startups, they look around in Europe and in other parts as well. So as long as they're investing into startups that really want to change something in the world for better, then I think that they're doing the right thing, because I've talked to so many investors, and the mindset mainly with the US investors is usually that what is the total market size? What will be your value in 5 years' time? If you say, well, it's going to be probably a couple of hundreds of millions, then they will be like, that's too small. We would like to see billions. We want to see the next unicorn. But for me, this is kind of like, to say hypocritical. Yeah. It's a word, right? Hypocritical, because it's kind of like you don't know what's going to happen. You have this dream. Yes, we also see billions when we want to see, but we can also see 10 millions if we want to see. It depends. And you never know how it's going to start to take off, because it might take years for you to actually achieve the product market fit and to get into a break-even point, for example, or even think about raising A rounds or B rounds. So it takes a lot of time and energy, and life is so dynamic, everything might change, so we don't know.
Is it difficult for you to be honest about those feelings in an investment round?
Well, fortunately, when we raised our last round with UK investors, then I really like those people, because Tom, one of the investors from the
shout out to Tom.
Tom is cool. So kind of he's like this. He has this hippie mentality. Like one day he said, like, okay, so you just go do your thing. If you believe in this, then I believe in you. Just the most important thing is that you believe in what you're doing. So he very often asks us, like, so Triin and Christian, what's your feeling? Do you feel that this is the right thing to do? And we say, yeah, of course. Well, then just go do it, because because what you're showing us are just numbers in Excel. So it all happens because of our belief, and I really admire those people who look deeper. Who want to see, the deeper you. That's not something that you can do in Excel.
That's super relatable for me. That's cool. When I spoke to Martin Willig for the podcast as well, he spoke about how when you're dealing with investors, and he is an investor himself, when you're dealing with investors, you have to be very careful about the advice that you take and their perception of your idea, and not allow it to become somebody else's. So it seems like a red line between your
this is also what they have said, like we support you because you are the ones who do it. So I totally secondate to that opinion.
That's very cool. That's super relatable. It's really thank you so much for being here. It's really cool.
It is.
When you were 12 years old, you decided you wanted to be a millionaire. That was the goal in life. Then you studied finances, tried to get a job, nobody would hire you. You were number 2. which is kind of, I feel like the whole startup experience is like you're almost there all the time, which is a funny thing.
And annoying sometimes.
Yeah, super annoying. Yes, very frustrating, especially when you have to maintain like faith. But and I heard you once say that you once wanted to be a millionaire, but now your life is much more fulfilling than that. And I was wondering if you would say something about it, what's different between those two things, and why. What is it in your life fundamentally that's really fulfilling now that's not being a millionaire?
I think the answer is quite straightforward. After I got my first child, everything changed. The way how I perceived life, how my values changed. Before that, I was very materialistic. I was like, I need to get, this job, then this sort of income, then great car, then, like 4-bedroom apartment or house, or then, go just climb on the career ladder. So this was my mentality. And then when I got my first child, then I was thinking, this is a miracle. When you experience the birth of a child, you think like, oh my God, this just weighs, all the unnecessary materialistic things. It's just, it weighs off, because a baby is a miracle, a true miracle of life. And when you look at this naked baby screaming there, you just think, that this is the most important thing. This is already fulfilling. This is unconditional love. Then you experience unconditional love in its purest form. This little creature, it screams, but you just love this screaming creature. And you don't experience that before you get a child. That's I don't know if it's unfortunate for those people who don't have children ever. You probably don't yet.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, don't worry, Mom.
But maybe one day you have, and then you understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's definitely fulfilling to be a mom, a parent, a cool mom. I think I consider myself like a cool mom.
Cool. Okay, that's awesome. What does that mean, being a cool mom? How does being a mom and that's a huge. That's like, so you have 3 full-time jobs. You're a mom to 3 kids, and then you have the startup. And and going back again, I spoke to Yuko Mart, and he has also 4 kids and his PhD thesis, and crazy dude. So for you, how do they connect, or is it difficult to balance the two?
Thank you for reminding me my PhD thesis that I need to write. Actually. Well, yeah, it's. I think that maybe I also, when I feel you, then I feel a lot of energy. I think that what we have is we have a lot of energy. So for me, it has never been a problem to find the balance between children and then doing the startup. Because I have had kids during or while building my startups, like twice. So it has been just, how do you manage your time? Because everybody has the same amount of time. And for example, with my previous startup, I took my little kid with me with the safety seat, and we went to mobile operators, and and he was sleeping there in the corner while we were discussing business deals. So it was like, and no one was kind of like, what is this? Like, I never experienced this sort of. Yeah, it's a baby. And sometimes he even pooped there, did
really?
Yeah, did his thing. And then I said, excusez-moi, I need to, go to the powder room. And then, and they were just totally okay with it. I think that this is something that I'm really fortunate with, that I have never experienced that I've been treated differently because I'm a mom or I'm a woman, or I never have had this experience in my life. So that's a bit of a controversial thing to say, almost. At least, maybe not so much in Estonia. I'm not as connected to the political system here and the kind of the discourse around those kind of topics. But in the U.S. and in Canada, I think for you even to say, look, I'm a woman and I haven't faced that, would be bizarrely in some ways controversial. And I'm curious your thoughts around the current talk of women in tech, or whether you have time to pay attention to it. Yeah, of course I am looking at at it from distance.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Flexibility.
Yes. Okay. So you're talking about that.
Yeah.
But I haven't been involved in those discussions. Although I've been asked also, like, how does it feel to be a woman in business and a woman entrepreneur, for example. And my usual answer is like, although I define myself as a woman, I know my strengths as a woman. It has nothing to do with me being an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur is like just a role. You know, this is a role that you take. Are you a woman or a man? You just take this role. You have, you know, some sort of like business milestones that you need to achieve, and then you take like your personal style into it, whatever you are. So for example, I feel I'm a free spirit, so I take this, you know, free spirit into my entrepreneurial role as well. Yeah. So being a woman there, yeah, why not? But I have never used me being a woman as an entrepreneur. But I've heard those stories where like females do use their female characteristics in order to achieve something in business. I've heard this, but I have never done it myself, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, you're the boss, yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, like, because you kind of are the antithesis, the opposite of this idea that it's much more difficult for women to make it in this field, which for me it's probably an ignorant thing to say, but for you, I mean, you are the opposite of this idea, and you've done very well for yourself. Do you see really clear barriers for women in the tech space?
Only when they put those barriers on themselves. I think that, of course, when I was in Silicon Valley, for example, then I also talked to so many people, and I never felt like they're looking at me differently because I'm a woman. And I was talking to really smart guys, you know, guys in their 50s who wanted to do business with me. Yeah. So that was amazing. Like they were looking at me saying like, wow, you really know about this stuff. People who have been in technology for years, who have been doing business, you know, between US, Taiwan, China, you know, those people were actually taking my word. So that was, for me, it was like, wow, you know, I'm a totally inexperienced Estonian from God knows where, and you're listening to me. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe just that, because I don't realize that it should be a weakness. Maybe if I would think of me as being weaker because I'm a woman, then it would show out, and then people would perceive it, and then maybe they would like use it against me. Okay. Maybe that's, you know, kind of like how nature works. Also, you know, it's psychology, all those like social relationships. So it's a very colorful in this sense. It's not black and white.
Yeah. So at Nevercode, it seems like, as you spoke about how you know, you don't fire somebody if they get pregnant or that sort of thing. It seems to me like for you, you treat individuals as the individual that they are and the roles that they play, like you said. And so is that a part of Nevercode? Is it somehow integrated, like equality is a
Definitely. One of our values is transparency. I think that it also relates to being treated equal. Like one of my biggest values in life is justice. You know, feeling that justice is there. Okay. Treating people equally. Yeah, that's one thing related to that. But also being transparent about your weaknesses. Yeah. For example, one time I asked my team, like, each one of you, please, like from the. Just don't be afraid. Just tell, what are you scared of? Yeah. Like what holds you back from doing what you would actually like to do, or saying yes to the unknown, for example. And then people openly talked about their fears. Like people are afraid of looking stupid. Yeah. They are afraid to not keeping their promise. They are afraid that they are going to, you know, let other people down when they do something wrong. They are afraid to fail. And when you know people's weaknesses in this sense that what they are afraid of, this is not actually a weakness, it's a strength. Oh yeah. You're just facing your fear.
And it sounds like you have strong people there who are able to articulate these things that they're afraid of.
And that is something that what we have had to do to let go people who are not facing their fears. They are saying like, no, I don't have this problem, because it's very hard for
That's
me.
the definition
Yes,
of the problem.
exactly. I can't get into you, I can't help you when you don't face your fears and tell me what is your fear, so that I could, help you realize your full potential.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just holding yourself back from learning and growing.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I'm so sorry to say this.
So, do I have to tell this?
No, absolutely not. This is
you got it?
still
Okay,
recording.
cool.
You don't have to tell it again. My memory card is full actually. I had to use a much smaller one today. But it's okay, we can just finish off with audio, and I put some fancy picture of you in a vector. Yeah.
Flowers and angels. So there, right?
It's really interesting actually, going back to what you were talking about, people facing their fears and this kind of safety. I recently wrote an article about, I haven't published it yet, but I wrote an article about a Google study that was done where they surveyed, I think, 280 Google teams about what traits of the dynamic of the team led to the most success. And the number one by a long shot was this psychological safety. And it was essentially what you said, the ability to brainstorm in front of others and not feel stupid was kind of their measurement of to ask a stupid question or to do something like that. So it's really it's interesting the way that you've done that as a leader, seemingly kind of naturally, just based off who you are. Is there something about you that you've done to develop this ability as a leader, or is it seems like for me that it comes more from a place of empathy within you, that you're just naturally empathetic towards people?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
You've got that.
Okay.
This is definitely not something that I've learned or that I've trained.
Yeah.
I just feel naturally that there's a lot of love inside me towards people. I love people. I want them to succeed. And I'm totally unhappy when I can't help them succeed, because when they just don't open up.
Very cool.
Yep.
Nice. I got the answer right. I passed the test.
Yeah, you did.
So then, I think I have 3 more questions left. One of them is, again, going back to women in tech, do you have any, even though you don't see those barriers, maybe from this empathetic standpoint, do you have any advice for maybe ladies or women who are hesitant to go into this space, maybe because partly of this discourse, it's so hard and it's going to be so much more difficult for me? Is there...
I think that one thing is just, first they truly need to look into themselves in order to understand like how desperately they would like to go there. Because if it's related to their goals or to their dreams, then they should just go through their fear.
Yeah.
Then just they need to step up. But maybe, the answer is that they don't actually want to go there, but because everybody else goes, then they kind of have this fear of missing out.
Yeah.
So they think that I also need to go into tech because, everybody goes there.
Yeah.
And it's maybe totally off from their dreams or their inner call. So I think that people should try all sorts of things in order to find, what is the passion that actually drives them. And before they haven't found it, then they should be restless and find this passion, because then calm comes.
Yeah.
And then they know exactly, how to balance things. But for women who are hesitant because of this like harassment and Me Too and all these things, then how I look at those things, I've been also abused like by male people, not in business but in my personal life.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe I'm stupid.
No.
Like Forrest Gump. No, stupid is a stupid answer. Right? So I'm not stupid, because what I think about people is like everybody has their story. Everybody has their hardship in life. Those people who usually harass other people as grown-ups, they have been harassed when they were young by their parents very often. And this is just miserable, how many misused or mistreated children we have. So when I look at those like violent, aggressive, abusing people, then I see, this child in them who was abused once, and this is like, you know, feeling compassion towards them. So when I was abused, it was very easy for me to forgive this, because I understood, you know, that this all came from his childhood. And for me it was like, I understand why you're doing this. I don't tolerate it. I don't let it happen. I'm walking away. I'm saying no. But I understand that it comes from your own miserable childhood. And that makes me forgivable. It's easy to forgive, let go, and just, you know, wish this person a happy life. Unfortunately, things have come into a fortunate way, so that he is leading a happier life.
That's an incredibly difficult thing to do, and I think
yes.
an incredibly important thing maybe for you or for anybody who's gone through that kind of suffering to be able to do, is that forgiveness is so difficult.
It is. But just, I think that this is something that is maybe trainable. That you just try to separate yourself from the feelings, and then you just, you know, look at these people from a totally neutral spiritual perspective. Like, it's not me confronting you, but I'm just, you know, looking at your spirit, and I see that this spirit is hurt.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a very exceptional words, so it's just take a sec to process, but so then coming full circle, because you're a busy lady, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, I've enjoyed this conversation a lot, so time doesn't matter.
Perfect, as long as you enjoy it, then I'm happy.
Exactly.
So then coming all the way back to Nevercode again, what are your plans for the next, maybe in your personal life and then in Nevercode? Do you have like personal milestones you want to hit? Does the company have things that you want to do in the next years?
I think that one thought that has also been here already is that, you know, you don't know what happens. So I might die tomorrow.
I certainly hope not, but yes.
So, and realizing the miracle of life, and that I have this one life only, and it's really short. And it's like it's not even a nanosecond if you compare it to the rest of how the universe has been created, how long time it has taken. So in this sense, you know, it just doesn't matter this 5 years because it's gone already. So when I think about what will happen in 5 years, then honestly, I don't care. As long as I'm doing something that is really resonates with me and that is natural and that needs to happen. So I hope that in 5 years' time, all those things that need to happen, that I'm still in this kind of mentality that I let things come to me and let them happen. Because this is so far how I've lived my life, letting things happen and just going with the flow when I feel that this is, you know, kind of like the right thing to do. So for Nevercode, of course, as we have the vision for decades, basically, then of course we do have a plan. We don't know if it's going to realize, but we're hoping definitely that we're going to automate, for example, automated test writing, so that automated tests today are generated by people, by developers themselves. So and we see how they hate it. They don't want to write automated tests. So we want to automate automated test generation.
Make them actually automate.
Yes. And it's doable. So we are already working with some scientists on this topic. Yeah. So that might happen in 5 years' time, hopefully, or something related to that. In my personal life, I just hope that you know, I'm successful as a mother, and why not as an entrepreneur. But what I really have found myself recently, let's say in the past 4 or 5 years, is me being a woman. I have never realized myself like this, that I'm actually working on my strengths as a woman.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Not being afraid. One thing is not being afraid of being a woman. I think, or not thinking about. Because I think that why I'm dealing with it is because I'm a bit worried about all this gender neutrality. that we should all wear yellow. And like in some societies, I think, was it in Sweden, where they don't even say she or he anymore?
In the school system.
Yes, they have this like middle sex thing. So everybody should be, some middle average person. And that scares me, because we are born here with our abilities, and there is a reason why we are men and women. Because when we lose those strengths of our genders, then what will happen is that we are not attracted to each other anymore. It's cool to be friends, but we need to also have to be attractive in order to bring in more miracles to children, right? So I'm afraid that this will be the worst case scenario, where we are actually making babies in the bottle. Yeah, exactly. So that is something that I really don't want to happen. That's why my personal development is related to me being a woman. That is totally separate from being an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
That's a different topic.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to dive in there a little bit because it's interesting.
Yeah.
Such a personal thing. Okay, and then for Nevercode, you want to automate automated testing, and any other big thing you hope to grow to certain. You want more of this family to grow.
Definitely, we are looking for smart people always. We've been trying to find these smart people in Estonia, but it seems that Estonia's smart people are all occupied. So we probably need to search from other countries as well. So we're going to the States to look people there. Of course, it's easier to find people there, but looking at how Google or other big corporations, how they actually hire people, then it's very hard to compete.
Yeah, I mean, the name Google is hard to...
Yeah, and their salary policy is like, something that we can't definitely achieve during or next recent years. It's way off from our radar. Yeah,
it is difficult even to, definitely in Estonia, more so than I expected to find people.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you end up here? What are you doing here?
This episode's all about you. People always try to ask me questions. I just tell them I had a plane crash and the plane was going over, and can't afford a ticket home, so I stayed.
And then you said, okay, what am I going to do here in this abandoned place? I'm going to do my startup.
Yeah, exactly. So then, is there anything you want to plug? Nevercode? You have some social media you're active on, or that?
Well, I appreciate, of course, when people come and join our Nevercode gang on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. There we share a lot of stories and
it's
visuals.
Just at Nevercode, or?
It's at Nevercode HQ.
Okay. Yeah.
Because some bastard took Nevercode, so we had to add HQ.
It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, God damn it! And you haven't tweeted for 3 years. Give me your handle.
Bastard.
Sorry, pardon me.
Awesome. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and it was an awesome conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very cool. Awesome. And then I'll do the outro afterwards, but stop this thing before it breaks.